undying love to somebody, then we can move on.
I'm happy to bestow undying gratitude to Eric Bolling, who I used to sit next to on The Five and other shows at Fox for a long time, and I can tell you he was MAGA from the very beginning. He stuck by it through thick and thin. When Trump was in, when Trump was out, Eric, you were always MAGA. And I would say I would be a little suspicious of people who would have been with Kamala Harris had she won the election, but suddenly, as soon as somebody else comes into power, they suddenly flip and decide they're going to support Donald Trump. So I do agree, Eric. Say what you will about you. You and I don't agree on anything, but you were misguided about MAGA from the very beginning, and you stuck by it. And I'm very suspicious. I am very suspicious of people who suddenly flit to power like moth to a flame, because I'm positive, Lindy, that if Kamala Harris had won, you would be here defending her to the hilt.
Julie, there are some things that I did not know before Election Day. Wait a minute. For example, we had no idea that they lied to us about the 3 to 4 battleground states that we were supposed to win. That's what they told us, to get us to go out there and ask for friends. Don't be skeptical. That's what they told us. That's what James.
But Lindy, Lindy, hang on. That's an interesting question, though, isn't it? If Kamala Harris had won, and everyone thought, according to the polls, it was all going to be so close. I didn't. I went on Fox 10 days before and said Trump's going to win big. So I'm taking the Eric Bolling victory lap on that. However, if Kamala Harris had won big, be honest, would you now be out here as a big convert to all things Trump, or do you think you may have gone for the ride with Kamala? Because that's really what Eric is getting at, which is how strong is your actual conviction?
Piers, remember the first time I was here, I've been on here 3 times. The first time I was here, I was a solid Democrat. I was trying to reform things from within, right?
Yeah.
By that time, I was still very much within the family. In December, remember that interview, our segment went viral.
Yeah,
why? Because I laid out what happened to me. I've been called a cunt and a whore. I'm just going to say it right now. Cunt, whore, bitch, whatever, Chinese spy, for asking questions about what happened to the money that I raised, for asking why we double down on the woke.
No, but I'm not questioning, just to be clear, I'm not questioning anything that you said, or that wasn't repellent the way you were treated, or any of those things, but that was all post the results. And
what I mean is I tried to stay until I couldn't.
No, I get it, but that was more to do with you saying you wasted all this money and them abusing you and so on. That's a kind of different issue. The question, which is quite a valid one, and it kind of, Eric started this and Julie's kind of cemented the questioning, if you like, which is, and that's 2 people from opposing sides, both equally skeptical. If you're honest, if Kamala Harris had won, would you now be on a show like this as a diehard pro-Trumper? Or is it more likely if the Democrats had won, you'd have tried to help reform them and move forward from within, but from a winning position?
Well, what I mean is, Piers, I tried to reform them. I've been here in December, I was still a Democrat. I was explaining why I couldn't be a Democrat anymore. The egregious treatment.
I get that, but you're slightly avoiding the question, which I do think is a valid question.
I'm trying to answer it, sorry.
Well, you've been accused of being a Trojan horse by Eric, but Julie has rightly pointed out from the other side, well, hang on, if our side had won, right, where would you be now? Because ideologically, it's a massive, massive move to go from somebody who supports Joe Biden and Kamala Harris to somebody who supports Donald Trump.
I've always been on the conservative wing of the party, and there's a paper trail. 5 years ago, I went to war with the Bernie Bros. That's how I emerged on the public scene. That's how I got my start. I, as a conservative, refused to vote for Bernie Sanders because he went against everything I believed in.
I think the question, Lindy, I'm going to ask one more time. But the question really is, would you have been identifying as a conservative if Kamala Harris...
That's what I mean. 5 years ago, I was already identifying as a conservative and attacking Bernie Sanders.
No, that's not my question. My question was, if Kamala had won, would you now be appearing on this panel as a conservative or as a Democrat?
I would be appearing, if not as a conservative Republican, I would be appearing as a conservative Democrat, as I've always been. I have tons of Fox News articles over the years identifying myself as a conservative Democrat. Come on, I've had this around my neck for 15 years, okay? Faith is a very important thing.
Look, call me old-fashioned, but what is a conservative Democrat? I mean, aren't you either one or the other?
I'm sorry?
Well, aren't you either a conservative or a Democrat?
When I first became
I wasn't aware
a
of this
Democrat,
weird hybrid where you could be both.
Well, I'm from suburban Pennsylvania. When I first became a Democrat, it was actually pre-Obama. We believed in middle-class values, fiscal responsibility, like moderation. We didn't think that biological men should be in women's sports. That's a fairly recent development, I think. Like in the past 5 years, I'm not in favor of that. I think that's absolutely just lunacy. These are recent developments. The woke and the trans insanity, the DEI stuff, I didn't sign up for that. I just didn't. And I was terrified of vocalizing my opposition.
Vote for in the election?
In 2024?
Yeah.
I voted for one person. I actually ignored everybody else on the ballot.
Well, who did you vote for?
Because I couldn't bring myself to vote for the Democrats. I was so disgusted.
So you voted Trump?
Can I plead the fifth?
No.
I will just say that. Let me just say one thing. I was so disgusted with the Democratic.
Come on,
what did you say?
Who did you vote for?
I will say that I voted for one person on the ballot.
Yeah, who?
Because I was so disgusted with the Democrats, I couldn't vote for.
I hate you, but who? Who did you vote for?
Do I have to answer?
Yes. It's uncensored. Come on, spit it out.
See, I can't win with this because I raised.
You could be
money for the
honest. I mean,
Democrats.
if you're honest, you win, right? I mean, that's.
Well, no. Well, my donors and all the Democrats will accuse me of sabotage if I.
Come on, Lindy. Who did you vote for?
I voted for Bob Casey. I didn't vote for president. I just couldn't because I'm just so disgusted.
Well, let's get a reaction. All right.
Here's the thing. By the Democratic Party that I couldn't bring myself to vote for any of them.
Just stop speaking for a second. You voted for Bob Casey, who is a member of the Democratic Party, which is the party that
who's one of the most conservative members, who's pro-life, famously pro-life.
I know exactly, sweetheart. I have a house in Pennsylvania. I actually campaigned for Bob Casey.
If you're going to talk like that to me, please don't sweetheart me very much.
So I'm not, listen to me because you have to stop speaking for a second. Let me be very clear with you. You were out there until the very last second positioning yourself as a surrogate for Kamala Harris, despite the woke stuff that you now disdain, despite the fact that you think that Democrats stand for only trans issues and nothing else that apparently you campaigned on all these years for Democrats, first for Biden, then for Harris. So the bottom line is, everything that you now disavow, you tried your very best and tried very, very hard to get in front of every TV camera that would take you to campaign for Kamala Harris, who you now claim supported trans and DEI issues that you think are completely misguided. So the bottom line is, everything that you're saying now about how you're going to help MAGA means that you threw out every value that you stood for. Because you can't be, Eric Bolling and I have known each other a long time.
There's some things that are values that are contrary to the Republican Party.
We don't agree. Let me finish speaking. I was very quiet when you spoke. Let me finish speaking.
Eric
and I don't agree on much.
Interrupted me.
Eric and I don't agree on much. We have completely diametrically opposed views. So if I suddenly said to Eric today, Eric, I am going to campaign for MAGA, and everything that you've been saying for the last 15, 20 years that I've known you, Eric Bolling, you have been right on everything. Eric would rightly say, Julie, you sat next to me on TV show after TV show and we argued. I know where your heart has been. What has changed? And if I said to Eric, you know what? People went on social media and called me the C word and called me the B word. You know what Eric would do? And Eric, I don't want to speak for you. I think you'd laugh at me. Because you'd say, are you really throwing away every single thing that you stood for because some randos were mean to you on Twitter? And that's exactly what you're saying you did, Lindy.
Absolutely
that's the problem that people have with you.
Hold on. You don't know anything about me. We haven't
spoken
in 10 years. So you don't even know the values that I hold. I still very much believe that
I've been following you very hard.
Issue. Can I finish? You asked me to finish, right? So I'm going to finish now. There are issues that I hold dear to my heart. And the environment is the top one. I also believe that gun violence is a serious issue in our country. Those things will never change. And I hold these issues, just because I'm now supporting the Republicans doesn't mean that I somehow relinquish these values. But I have been slowly shifting to the right personally, there are things that have happened in my life. There are people that I met. I don't want to talk about it, but I've been shifting rightwardly. And frankly, it's none of your business. I don't owe you an accounting of why I turned rightward.
Lindy, your shift happened after
You
the
don't,
election.
but nobody believes you.
You've been shifting all recently, but you weren't shifting when you were a surrogate for both, the Democrat Party and then Kamala Harris. Where were you saying?
What I've been telling you is that there's a paper trail.
In the right to what the right to life. Where was that 4 weeks ago? It was
Wait, I haven't said anything about the right to life. I haven't said anything. Wait, hold on.
I believe you just said pro-life. Did you just say you're pro-life? I pretty much.
What about the environment? What about the environment?
No, I didn't say it was pro-life. I said Bob Casey's pro-life. I didn't say anything about abortion today.
Lindy, are you pushing the GOP?
Lindy, drill, baby, drill.
Well, let me ask Dean. Look, Dean, I wasn't expecting this debate.
That you guys are also
this is actually a very interesting debate because this is going on a lot. There are lots of people who are migrating, whether it's Mark Zuckerberg, a bit like that, or Lindy, whatever. It's a very interesting debate about the validity of their conversion. So, Dean, what do you make of this from everything you've heard so far?
Look, Lindy's made her choice. And if she's going to be consistent with her values in the GOP and try to change the GOP to be consistent with her views on saving lives from gun violence, on addressing climate change, well, that would be a good move within the GOP. The GOP needs that. I'm not here to attack Lindy. That's her choice. Mark Zuckerberg, Elon Musk, Jeff Bezos are billionaires with power. They did this for a business decision. They didn't make donations. They made investments in Donald Trump's campaign. And they expect to be rewarded, Elon Musk, with more contracts, with tax cuts for the wealthy, the billionaires class, and less regulations, and allowing more mergers so they can make even more money because they're upset with Biden because his FTC and DOJ slow down mergers of big corporations. They're anti-consumer, pro-bottom line. So, Piers, I have a different view. Lindy's one person. She made her choice. She's going to have to answer for herself. If she's truthful, MAGA will embrace her. If not, they'll reject it. They're not dummies. I don't believe what some people say on the left about MAGA. They're not dumb. They're smart. They're dangerous, but they're smart. My biggest concern is big power.
Dean,
yes.
MAGA rejects her. Sorry, Lindy. MAGA rejects you. And frankly, MAGA rejects Mark Zuckerberg, Jeff Bezos, and the rest of the people who decided that there's a more fruitful path towards Mar-a-Lago and the White House now than it was 4 weeks ago.
You are not the gatekeeper of MAGA. No one appointed you. I don't like St. Peter by the pearly gates. That's not up to you. You know who it's up to? It's up to the American people. And I have gotten thousands of letters, thousands of messages on a daily basis, and I read as much as I can. I have never seen so much kindness, barring these far-right lunatics. Eric, you're not one of them. I actually happen to like you outside of this. The amount of love and welcome that I've gotten from conservative Republicans is so incredible. So incredible.
Lindy, I would have so much more respect for you if you would just say, look, I've been a lifelong Democrat. I've supported the Democrats. I've worked with the Democrats. I've raised money for Democrats, including Kamala Harris. And you know what? I'm not all of a sudden change and see the light that Donald Trump is the savior.
What I mean is,
but you flipped so dramatically in such a short period of time, Lindy. Give it a breath. Give it a breath. You're out everywhere that will host. Julie's right. Everywhere that will host you, you'll go on CNN, MSNBC, Fox. You're all over Fox saying what a great, pro-Trump MAGA personality you are right now because you're getting booked all over the place. Give it a minute.
Hold on, I've never once said I was MAGA, to be honest. I've never even used that word, so I don't know why.
Well, Trump is MAGA. Let's be honest. Trump is MAGA, period, full stop.
Most of my hits have been my criticisms of Democrats, to be honest. I don't think I've ever been on one just
you're going to get booked because you're the Democrat who's criticizing other Democrats. It's very bookable, very clickable, in fact. But as someone on the inside of the movement,
and I happen to have a lot to say. I have donors who are terrified of speaking out. I have a duty of care to say what the heck went wrong with the campaign because it was a fucking disaster. It was a disaster.
Well, that's different. Now that is commendable. Now there's a Democrat saying, we screwed up. We need to find out what we did wrong, come back stronger, and beat them. That would be admirable.
I think, Lindy, hang on, Lindy. I think the point Eric is making, which is a strong one and a valid one, I think, which is you could have done all this criticism of the Democrats whilst remaining a Democrat, somebody who voted. Somebody who voted for a Democrat literally just a few months ago, right? But instead, what you want people like Eric to believe is that somehow you've been really going more and more right-wing for years, and actually now you're a full-on Trumper, And he's saying, well, hang on a second. Why did you vote the way you did only in November?
I think I'm a full-on conservative. I'm finally free to be who I am, that I don't have to be ashamed of it because I live in Philadelphia. It's a stigma to be a Republican here.
Yeah, but none of the panel, with respect though. But Lindy, when you have both Julie and you have Eric both just not buying this at all, you've got a bit of a PR problem, haven't you?
I don't need these two lovely individuals to buy anything. I'm comfortable with myself. I know who I am. I know that I'm a conservative, and I've been a conservative, and I've been ashamed of being conservative. There are things like, you could go look at my old tweets. There have been issues that
I'm really sorry. Look, I'm really struggling. If you've always been a conservative, why did you keep voting Democrat? I don't get it.
Let's think about it. I'm not just a Democrat. I'm somebody who ran for Congress as a 24-year-old as a Democrat, and again twice.
So my question is, why did you keep running, campaigning?
It was so hard for me to leave.
But why did you keep running, campaigning?
Lindy, Piers, I want you to understand.
Lindy, with all respect, why did you keep running, campaigning, and voting as a Democrat if you've always been a conservative?
Because in the city of Philadelphia, it's a 1 to 8 registration breakdown. For every one Republican, there are 8 Democrats. That is how much of a landslide it is here. And I grew up in the age of Obama. Like, the year that I went to college was 2008. The first year that Obama was elected. I was 17 years old and so captivated by this man promising hope and change. I bought into it, despite the fact that my family had reservations because my parents were very conservative.
But you understand that like if I began all of a sudden to start Muslims for MAGA, I'm Muslim. Dino Vidal begins Muslim for MAGA. Love me, MAGA. I'm now your friend. They'd be like, you're the jackass that used to trash us on social media, on MSNBC. And I'd be like, yeah, I am. But I'm now Muslims for MAGA. Why? I got a book deal. I got a TV deal. I'm not saying that's what you're getting, but that's what we see, right? I don't attack you. Like, you make your choice. You have to live with yourself at the end of the day. It's between you and yourself. For me, it's the big billionaires who are going to get more money at our expense that really upset me. But you can see the hesitation, and you saw it online, Lindy. There are people, Democrats, who are not crap posters, like you call them, who are really like stunned by what you've done. And this transition from a big cheerleader on our side to now attacking us nonstop on the other side. Again, you have to live with that. But I think Piers has done a good job. You probably should have brought legal counsel here, Lindy, for this. You could object to the call. I'm a lawyer. I could object if you want. Wink at me, and I'll say objection. But honestly, I think it's a problem for either side to believe you right now. That's the reality. That's the truth. I'm not being mean.
Thank you for being respectful, by the way. Thank you for not being acerbic. Can I please finish, Julie Radzinski? Is it Radzinski or Radzinski? I don't know. But
go ahead, Lindy Li.
In terms of Republicans, if you're going to pile on anyone who's willing to help you win the midterms, willing to do what they can, willing to hear you out and learn more about where you're coming from, no one's going to come over.
But why should Lindy?